Hello everyone, welcome to today's 90s supermodel inspired all matte makeup tutorial. I've been wanting to film more old school YouTube tutorials for my channel, and I thought, why not start with a little nostalgia? The 90s supermodel look has always been something that I kind of find very glamorous and classic in a sense. Obviously, the very, very thin eyebrows aren't classic, but overall, when I was looking back and Googling 90s Cosmopolitan magazine covers, I was just blown away by how beautiful it all was. The hair, the makeup, the clothing, and I thought, why not take a trip back in time to the 90s and recreate one of those iconic looks. I came across this photo of me from 1995. Yes, it is from Glamour Shots. And I tried to style my hair as closely as possible to this photo as I could. But anyway, this is the look that I'm gonna do for you today. And this was my inspiration photo. The other day I asked on my Instagram story if people would be interested in seeing a 90s supermodel matte makeup look, and 87% said they would. So let's do it. All right, let's transport ourselves back to the 90s. Wouldn't that be nice? It was such a simpler time then, wasn't it? I just came out of the shower and I have my favorite twisty turban on. Actually, I don't think that's the name of it or the brand. I purchased a 3-pack on Amazon that I can link. I love these and I always wear them when I do my makeup, every time. So let's start with some primer. I just received this new one from Essence in the mail. It is called the My Skin Perfector Tinted Primer Instant Blur Effect Natural Matte Finish. This look is going to be matte because we were very matte back in the 90s. I only wish, as someone with very oily skin, that all of these incredible primers and mattifying products had been available. I am going to be using an ultra matte foundation as well. And now I'm gonna use a little eyeshadow primer. The other day, I tried, for the first time in years, intentionally to do my eye makeup without eye primer, just to see if maybe my eyelids had gotten a little less oily and that I could perhaps get away without an eyeshadow primer. Because honestly, I haven't not used an eyeshadow primer in probably 15 to 20 years, whenever they first came out. Maybe it hasn't been that long, I don't know. It didn't go well. It wasn't as bad. My lids didn't look as bad as they did years ago. So perhaps my lids are a little bit less oily than they were, but I still need to use an eyeshadow primer. Next, I'm applying the Nars Soft Matte Complete Foundation, and today I'm using the shade Valaris Medium 1.5. And I have spoken about this foundation quite a bit in my videos since it launched back in August or September. And I still think it is one of the best, if not the best, full coverage matte foundations on the market. I wish though that it had the transfer resistance that Estee Lauder Double Wear has, because that's the only downside of this foundation. It's long wearing, but it does transfer. So if I know I'm gonna be going somewhere where I'm wearing a mask, which is pretty much everywhere, I will wear my Estee Lauder Double Wear. And this is a truly matte foundation. Had this been around in the 90s, I think everybody would have worn it. All right, moving on to concealer. I am using the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer. You know what I didn't have back in the 90s? These dark circles. All of these things that we take for granted when we're young, like flat stomachs and no dark circles and no fine lines. And as usual, all of these products will be listed and linked in the description box. Essence also sent over this My Skin Perfector Loose Fixing Powder. It does give a very nice blurring effect. Could my skin be any more matte? Friends reference. In my opinion, Joey was the funniest. All right, let's take a look at these brows, shall we? Those were some thin brows, which is actually okay with me because I have naturally very thin brows, naturally very sparse brows, naturally very light brows. So I struggle now to make them look fuller. If you've seen my other tutorials when I do my brows, it takes me forever. I'm always trying to find something that will make them fuller and fluffier. But hey, since we're doing a 90s inspired tutorial or look, let's just go with it and keep my brows as they are. Although I am going to darken them a little bit more than usual. So I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer in medium brown. I usually use either, if I use an Anastasia pencil, it's usually in taupe or caramel or soft brown. So as always, I am brushing the brows up. And in all the photos that I was looking at of the supermodels, they all had a really high arch. I don't have a super high arch, but I have an arch. I'm just going to, as I said, just follow along with my natural brow shape. So as you can see, they're definitely a little bit darker than normal. And I don't recall having brow setting gels back in the 90s, but we have them now and I'm going to use one today. This is Benefit's 24-Hour Brow Setter. Okay, now I know for a fact I didn't do this step when I did my makeup in the 90s, but I do it now, and I am going to try to give myself a little bit more of a defined arch for this look. So I am going to be using my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer and a brush to carve out my brow and give them the appearance of a little bit higher arch. Is it weird that I really don't remember how I did my makeup back in the 90s? I know I wore a lot of dark lipstick. Remember those burgundy shades, those burgundy and brown shades that we wore? What was that Revlon shade called? It's really popular that Cindy Crawford advertised. Toast of New York? Toast of the Town? Do you remember those Revlon ads? The most unforgettable women in the world wear Revlon. I remember Cindy Crawford did the ads, and then also Halle Berry did the ads. And they were always so stinking gorgeous. For this matte eye look, I am going to use one of the best matte eyeshadow palettes of all time, which is the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes. I was shocked to discover that this is no longer available on the Sephora website, at least when I checked just a few moments ago before I started filming. But it is available on the Too Faced website. I would be shocked if they ever discontinued this palette because it is so good. I looked through a lot of photos in preparation for this video and zoomed in, and in so many, they were just kind of like a basic smoky eye. And I think that might be because we got into that grunge era of that real smoky black eyeliner. And, well, a classic smoky eye is one of my favorites. So that's what we're gonna do today. I did notice that even back then, there was a little bit of highlight under the brow. And so I'm gonna use Peach Meringue and a flat brush and pop that under the brow. So believe it or not, I'm going to start off with this matte plummy brown called Just Right. And a flat brush. Actually, I'm going to use the mirror from the palette so I can get up close. And I'm placing this all over my lid. So I'm just taking it up into my crease. My eyes are hooded, so I don't have a real defined crease. But if I look straight into the mirror and sort of push in at the fold, that's where I want to take the shadow up to. And then onto the outer corners. And don't worry if you get any down here, you can always clean it up. And I'm going to take a blending brush with nothing on it and just soften the edges and bring it up a little bit higher towards the brow bone. And then I am going to take a small crease brush and go into the dark brown called Chocolate Dipped. And I'm going to place that along my upper lash lines and then into the outer corners and blending up and out. This is going to be a really simple, quick eye. And then as there's less and less color remaining on the brush, that's when I start to lift it up using a really, really light touch. I'm blending up and out. That will make it so the color just looks really diffused. And look how much less hooded it looks than this one. And now I'm going back with a little bit more of the underbrow shade to sort of buff out the edges and even bring it around here. And now for eyeliner, gotta have a black eyeliner and smudge it out. This one is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil. And I'm just running that along my upper lash lines. Ooh, this is an intense pencil. I haven't used it in a while. I didn't realize how intense it actually is. And then I'm gonna smudge it out. You know what I don't recall ever using in the 90s? Was liquid liner. I'm sure it was around because I specifically remember the Lancome art liner pen being so popular. And then since this is sort of my inspiration picture, I am going to line my inner rims with the black because it appears that that's what she's got going on there. And then I'm going to take my same brush and smudge it out. But I'm also going to add a little bit of that same plummy color, Just Right, underneath. And now I'm connecting the top to the bottom. Now, what I didn't see in any of these photos that I took for inspiration was a light shimmery inner corner highlight that you see so often today. But there was a little bit of lightness in this area, but no surprise here, it appeared to be a matte highlight. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit of that same peach meringue that we put under the brow, pop a little bit in through here. So now I'm going to curl my lashes and apply some mascara. Now I'm pretty sure contouring and bronzing wasn't a mainstream thing in beauty like it is now. I don't even think I knew what contouring was until the early 2000s when Scott Barnes was becoming popular for doing Jennifer Lopez's makeup, and he was like the king of contouring. And then in the mid 2000s, we got Kim Kardashian and Makeup by Mario doing all of that cream contouring. Anyway, since this is an inspired makeup look, I am going to contour ever so slightly with my Milani bronzer. I'm not going to really bronze up my skin, but I'm gonna contour a little. I felt like I couldn't do a 90s inspired matte makeup tutorial without using MAC's Buff blush. This shade was it in the 90s. I just recall seeing this shade mentioned over and over in magazines, and it's still a great color. It's neutral, it's got a little bit of pink, it's got a little bit of brown. It works really, really well when you've got an intense, smoky or grungy eye. And now we're gonna finish off with the lips. Although I will say I'm gonna do one more thing off camera. I don't recall seeing in any of the photos that I looked at full strip lashes. I know I did not wear any false lashes back in the day. I kind of wish I had, because my wedding was in, well, my wedding was in 2000, but I look back at the photos and gosh, I wish I had worn false lashes. But they just weren't a thing. They just weren't mainstream like they are now. So as soon as I'm done with the lips, when I go do my hair, I am gonna pop on just a couple of individual lashes. I'm not gonna do anything bold or dramatic. I just wanna pop on a couple. So moving on to the lips, I am going to use this brown lip liner from Kylie Cosmetics. It is called Iced Latte. And truth be told, I would wear this lip combo today. Although I am gonna go a little bit darker with my line than I would today. I would normally kind of soften this a little bit. And I hate to tell you, for those of you that did this look back in the 90s and are now seeing a resurgence of it and are kind of like, no, please, no dark 90s lip liner, it really is back. I follow a lot of young makeup artists, like in their early 20s, and they seem to all be doing this darker lip liner with a lighter lipstick in the middle. And now I'm using this Tarte lip paint in Park Avenue Princess. So I did pop on a couple of individual lashes like I mentioned I was going to do. I also went and added a little bit of concealer to the center of my lips just to lighten it up a little bit. And this is it. As I mentioned at the beginning, I tried to style my hair as best as I could to the photo, but I don't have any hot rollers. I'm pretty sure in the 90s we were all using hot rollers to achieve those sort of bouncy supermodel curls, and I just don't have any. I tried to use the biggest curling iron I could find that I own, and it wasn't working very well. Anyway, I tried my best. Hopefully this has inspired you to maybe put the shimmers aside for a moment and try an all matte look. Of course you can modernize this look by, as I think I mentioned earlier, softening the lip pencil a little bit, perhaps adding a highlighter or even a little pop of shimmer right on the lid. You can really take this from a 90s inspired look to a modern day, really pretty glam. So now we're at the point where I say what I always say, which is if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and join the Risa Does Makeup family. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under the exact same username. It's all Risa Does Makeup. Thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.